Right. Hello, guys. Good evening. I can't stay here long. I'm expecting a phone call actually, so I can only be here for a couple of minutes. But I wanted to come and talk about something real quick, and I think that there's a lot of people that just don't get it. Um, there are people that have tried to, first of all, a witch's company or business. It is not McDonald's. We are not McDonald's, okay? Witches not only bring about justice, but we bring fairness, we bring healing, not just to the people that we work with, but also to the earth. Um, Witches are sometimes protecting entire families of people with their magic, with their work, um, including our own families. So a witch's business is not something that is like a McDonald's where you can go and order a McDonald's burger and walk away and plant a moth or a roach in it and go and say, hey, I'm going to sue you because there was a roach found in my burger. It is totally different and totally different thing. And I think that there are a lot of people that walk around in ignorance when it comes to that. When you and it's not to say that um, witches can't have problems. It's not to say that witches are not going to run into people who are very ignorant. I mean, we're going to run into the ignorant people, but if you are somebody that thinks it's a game, if you are somebody that thinks of, because I noticed, for example, I think this was last year, it may have been earlier this year, I was hearing some people talk about, um, witchy businesses, and, they, to me, they're just agents of destruction or deception. But they were talking as if, our businesses or our companies are like McDonald's, and it's not. In fact, I've been in business for 6 years and have only had two chargebacks in those 6 years. Two. I have literally only had two chargebacks. And I don't believe that that had anything to do with the work that I did. I believe that it had something to do with the circumstances or either the financial circumstances in those people's lives. Um, there are so many people that walk around in ignorance. So here's the play that they do. They will attack you, harass you, stalk you. Um, go around saying, "Oh, well, I don't believe in witchcraft, or I don't believe in this, or I don't believe in that." And they'll literally try to hate on a witch's business, and it's not like that. It's not. And this is actually a channeled message from my spirits that anybody trying to interfere with my business practices or trying to interfere with my business, you going to get dealt with very harshly. This is one of the reasons why I show the utmost respect to my fellow witches. And I definitely understand the frustration of dealing with people that don't take it seriously and have no respect and treat us witches as if we are just to be used. Um, this is one of the reasons why I have chosen to not have close friends, because the last time I tried to be friends with somebody, they just constantly wanted free something, free work, and I ended up feeling like I was being used. Um, it is very foolish. I don't care what mental state you're in, and I don't care what physical state that you're in. You are going to be having some issues if you are trying to interfere with the business practices of witches. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people that are very, very ignorant, but ignorance is only bliss until that karma hits you. And a lot of people, their response to it will be to talk about you, to harass you. That's not going to change it. Best thing for you to do if you have a beef with a witch is to let it go. That's the best thing for everybody, is to let that beef go. Um, unfortunately for people that have obsessive compulsive disorders, they have a hard time doing that, because what can end up happening is that if you cause any issues, and obviously, obviously what a lot of witches can say and what I can say about people typically bothers the hell out of them. For some reason, my words, I guess, cut deeper, or, it's, especially when I'm just merely speaking the truth. Speaking the truth, we all know that the truth hurts a lot of people. In fact, I've even noticed that, these simple truths, hurt people. Truth hurts. The truth hurts a lot of people. And I think that people that are used to hating on people's money think, oh, I can do the same thing if you have a witchy business, and you can't. And when you have done something, especially when it comes to being a baby witch, and you're doing something with materialistic intentions, for example, oh, I'm a baby witch, I want to go and get a black candle, I want to go cross somebody, I want to light a doom candle to, try to mess with a witch. You got to think about, especially if you're trying to mess with a witch's money. You're not just messing with that witch's money, you're messing with people's lives. You're messing with the lives of the people that witch is meant to help. You cannot deny, you can only delay, is what I've noticed that these haters try to do. This is why I rarely work against witches. I don't do stuff like that. Okay? And so what you have to worry about is the responsibility that you are taking. So then also, you shouldn't be trying to mess with nobody's money anyway, to be honest with you. You shouldn't be doing that unless their way of earning money is doing some kind of harm to you. Okay. If it's not directly related to you, you shouldn't even touch it. I have noticed that people will come at a witch sideways, and you need to take it seriously. Don't take it for granted. Don't go and get to doing experiments and lighting candles, because what ends up happening is that if I were to, let's say that I were to go and light a candle to intentionally go and interrupt or interfere with the business of a witch, you're going to have to deal with that witch's spirits and ancestors. You're going to have to deal with the ancestors and the spirits also of the people that the witch is meant to have to help. And this is going to bring a lot of extreme negativity into your life. The response should never be, I'm going to go and talk about that witch, or I'm going to go and roast somebody, or I'm going to go and pay somebody to say, the best thing for you to do is to look away. Let it go. Once a witch's spirits have shown up and showed you what they can do to you, you got to stop. If you feel like you can't stop, then that would go beyond witchcraft to where you probably want to go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. This is why and this is controversy to a lot of witches as far as the field of psychology, the field of, the psychiatric field. It's very controversial, but not too controversial because, it is what it is. Some things that people need have nothing to do with witchcraft. Sometimes witchcraft can actually make it worse. If you are somebody that believes in mental illnesses, because it's all about belief. If you believe in mental illnesses and you live your life by that, then you probably do not need to be playing around with witchcraft. Okay, if you believe it for yourself, because what that can mean possibly is that your mind cannot handle what witchcraft, the doors that witchcraft are going to open, which are going to be the good and the bad. There's been nobody that I have ever seen, practice witchcraft that has never been tested ever. And you can't. So this is one of the reasons why, and I've got some great, like I have a great student. She is so amazing. I've had students before that would never do anything like that. But I think that people should take it seriously. First of all, you should be taking life seriously. That's the one thing that I am serious about is my magic. The one thing I am serious about is witchcraft, herbs, and healing. Those things you do not play around with. You do not play around with witches like that. And I have seen so many people doing it, and I think that you're setting yourself up. This is a time when it truly requires for you to not be nosy. You ever hear the saying, I know that there's a lot of different sayings about nosy people that butt into other people's business. Those people end up losing their nose or maybe even your sense of smell, which is also one of the symptoms of the Toyota Corolla. You may want to think about that before you start to and it's not to say that the same rules don't apply to witches as it does to the rest of the world. Of course not. I believe that witches should behave ethically, but I also believe that when you deal with witches, you're dealing with what? You're dealing with women. You're dealing with women's emotions. So you have to be very careful of that. Okay. And please don't ever blame witchcraft for your problems unless you have made the wrong move. Let's keep it real. A lot of people like to butt into other people's lives. And at some point, because whenever people, I've noticed that I notice even in my own life, I'll have everything running smoothly. And then as soon as somebody else comes in, things get really wacky and wonky. So I'm one of those type of people. I'm a Cancer. Okay. But I'm a Gemini. I've been thinking about claiming my Gemini. I've been thinking about just coming out as a Gemini because I behave like a Gemini a lot of the times. But I was, according to Western zodiac, I'm a Cancer. So I'm the type of person that will literally go into my shell and I will literally pull all of my loved ones into one area and just sort of keep them there. I'm that type of person to where if I sense danger, then I've got that Leo rising. That means that I'm going to start covering the people that I love and care about with protection. I'm the mother of the zodiac. I can't help it. I cannot help but to protect people that I care about. So when you are a direct threat to a witch, you got to be prepared. And a lot of people wasn't ready to be a direct threat. I've seen people that will try to infiltrate a witch, literally try to infiltrate a witch. You don't have the spiritual authority to do that just because you attend Westboro Baptist Church. Okay, and I'm just using that church as an example. You have got to understand that everybody has the right to their own spiritual personal beliefs. And the crusades and the witch burnings and the lynchings didn't just come from the church. I mean, I don't know if y'all ever watch American Horror Story. I know that it's just a TV show, but you know, it's one of the closest that you can get aside from all of the special effects and things of that nature in that show. But when it comes to witches and when it comes to forming a covenant with witches, I mean, they are I absolutely love witches. Um, and I would never betray a witch. For what? I would rather tell her the truth than betray her. You see what I'm saying? You can't really pull the wool over the eyes of a witch, because I'm the type of witch to where I can see what you're doing, but is it a priority? Is it a priority at that time? Okay. I want to say this to all of my religious people. Listen, I have religious people that contact me for spell work all the time. Y'all are always welcome. The problem is that you have to have extended beliefs. Okay, don't come to me as your witch or your practitioner and say, "Oh, well, I'm just going to depend all on Jesus," because even Jesus is going to roll over in his grave. Okay, and I've had somebody do that, and they got really, really bad negative karma, because sometimes Jesus will lead you to me. And it is what it is. Okay. A lot of people have an opinion of witches that is very outdated. And keep in mind that just because we've heard about the Crusades in Salem and all of that, and the lynchings and the burnings, that doesn't mean that that was happening everywhere. Okay. This was probably, um, this is actually, that is actually a space and time in history that you want witches to forget. I mean, and I've seen people do it. I've seen people, their channel names is the witch hunter and all that stuff. I'm like, honey, you've been watching too much TV. You've been watching too many movies. So it's unadvisable to do that. Okay. You've got to learn that you can't do that. And then also, it's probably not the best thing to interfere or to try to interfere with any of a witch's affairs. I'm sure that this has been written somewhere. Don't try to interfere with a witch's affairs. Don't try, because listen, and see, this is one thing that I don't do ever. Okay, this is why people don't have a problem out of me. Okay, I'm never a problem for anybody. Maybe myself sometimes, but I don't, I wouldn't do that. So it's really, really important for that, because honestly, when it comes to spirit, it's not going to be some made up, convoluted, version of anything. When it comes to witchcraft, anything can happen. Anything can happen under the sun. You can't judge a witch's situation based upon a normal person's situation. You just can't do it. There can be all sorts of spirits that can affect people, especially when you got people that are mediums, people that are empathic. Um, and so it's inadvisable to do those things. And I have seen people do it. I've seen people do it, and you know what they'll do? They'll make excuses for their behavior, and they'll say, "Oh, well, I've got a mental problem, or I've got a physical problem, or I've got a nosy problem." It is very important for you to not open up Pandora's box, because once Pandora's box has been opened, it's very difficult to close it. And I do believe that Pandora's box has been opened. I do believe that the church and witches, we have existed for hundreds of years peacefully for the most part. Okay. In fact, the witches will do what the church won't do. Okay. So I want people to be careful with that. Don't and then don't that's just like going into a haunted house that is haunted and calling out either the demons or the ghosts in that house and saying, I dare you to show yourself. Show oh, that's the same thing, equivalent to the same thing. If you have a problem with witchcraft, if you don't understand it, then learn about it. Start learning. That way you're not just standing in ignorance, because I've seen people and see ignorance is not bliss. It does not matter if you don't know. If you commit a crime against a witch, it does not matter. Okay. It does not matter whether or not you knew this information or not. I've seen a lot of people do that. I've seen people test my spirits and say, "Oh, you ain't got no power. Your spirits ain't power." And then when you say that, that's when they'll show you their power every single time. And I think it's important, if you are a practitioner, if you're starting out, to respect other people's power, because everybody can have it. That's another thing. Okay. Don't doubt nobody's ability to do anything. In fact, I think that whenever people doubt other people's abilities, it's because they doubt their own. And that's just it. Especially if you're hanging around with witches, but then you're hanging around other people that are saying, "I don't believe in witchcraft," or all that. That's called mixed company. I don't hang around anybody that doesn't believe in witchcraft. I don't even want to talk to that person, because that person has limitations on their thinking, and they have limitations, and they're totally blind to the world around them. Totally blind to the world around you. Okay. So, I know a lot of ladies with witchy businesses. It is important to show respect. There are witches that do work for people. There are witches that make jewelry. There are witches that make clothing. There are witches that make head wraps. Uh, you know, they just make oils and candles. Okay. Or sometimes they do that along with their business. It is important to not trespass on others. You know, just because we're witches does not mean that we trespass on each other. In fact, we get advice from each other. Okay. Typically, witches help each other out just because it's another witch. And there is an unspoken code between witches that has to be there to protect the integrity of your craft. It's best to do that. Okay. For you to not do that, it's obvious who ain't a real witch because they're making fun of witches. I wouldn't laugh or make fun of witches. I just wouldn't do it, especially not when it comes to the craft. I mean, we can sit here and have a normal conversation and laugh at each other. But when it comes to the craft, that's when you'll notice the witch will get kind of a crease in her forehead and she'll kind of lean forward, either to the left or the right, so she can hear you better. And she'll go, what is it exactly that you're saying again? And I think it's foolish, especially for men. I've seen the men doing that. I've seen men doing that. And for some reason, these men, I wouldn't mess with it if I were y'all. Okay. Stop automatically going around saying, oh, witchcraft ain't real. She's a fraud, because then you're going to realize how real it is. It's not up for you to judge. There's nobody that has any authority except for God whatsoever. Nobody has any authority over any witch except for God, or if you want to call God Satan, then you can call God Satan. At this point, spirits is washing their hands of that. And spirits has told a lot of the witches to be still on people doing stuff like that. Okay. That situation cannot continue to happen without something teaching you a lesson. Especially if you hear a witch that works with, if you hear a witch, I'm giving y'all tips of survival. Okay. If you hear a witch saying one or two things, necromancy, Hecate, those are things that you don't want to touch. And you have to do it. And I believe that so many people that were raised in the church, and they were raised very ignorantly, decided, hey, it says in the Bible that witchcraft is condemned, so I'm going to do everything I can to try to run circles around you. You're being very foolish and you're being very ignorant. Okay, don't do that, because you have absolutely no idea. In fact, anybody that's going around saying that is obviously very ignorant. You have to understand the Bible in order to read it. Hey, Hearth, I'm having a good night. You have to understand the Bible before you read it. It's all about how you interpret it. So there's a lot of people that read the Bible and they're like, oh, well, it says right here in Corinthians or Revelations or this, and that. But obviously, for you to take that and for you to go out and start trying to judge people, obviously you misinterpreted that Bible very clearly. You misinterpreted it. Because I've seen people, trolls come into the chat room. Oh, I'm going to put this deity over you, and that stuff is evil. Well, trust me, look at the world. Witchcraft is not the most evil thing that we see going on. In fact, witchcraft is a necessary evil, if you want to call it evil. It's a necessary evil. Okay. And it's being used in all walks of life. Even if you're not somebody that does what I do, but you have to use your powers of persuasion, you're still practicing witchcraft. Do not practice it while you don't trust it. If you don't understand it, don't touch it. That's literally y'all saw that mushroom that I picked, that black mushroom that I picked. Before I touched that mushroom, I took a picture of it to identify with my mushroom identifier. Okay, I downloaded an app to identify what the mushroom was before I even touched it, even with gloves on. If you don't understand it, don't touch it. And a lot of people don't realize that it used to be where only pastor had the Bible. Yeah. Yeah, there's many types of witchcraft. Absolutely. Absolutely. Many, many different types. Honestly, Heart, whenever I look at the different types of witches, like I identify with all of them when I look at it. So it's kind of difficult for me to say what type of witch I am. You know what I'm saying? For me to label myself, because I'm eclectic, which means that I draw from whatever works, and then I also create my own a lot. Okay. So I've had a huge understanding of witchcraft, because witchcraft itself is very different from somebody with telepathy. People are mixing it up. Even though witches will have those gifts, there's some witches that don't do psychic readings at all. There's some witches that have never picked up a tarot deck, which, by the way, I found this oracle deck that I'm going to order later on this week. And I think you guys are going to really like it. It's called the Karma Tarot or something. I think it's not the regular 78 cards. It's like 32 or something like that. And I just really like the way that the deck looks, the aesthetics of the deck. And so I'm excited about getting that new deck coming up real soon here. Oh, thank you, Hearth. Thank you. Um, so you could be somebody that is a telepath, but then a telepath or a psychic probably doesn't want to be messing around with or either trying to harass somebody that calls themselves a witch or somebody that is a witch, because those are two different things. You can be a witch and not be a telepath or an empath at all. You could just be a witch, somebody that can just make things happen out of the blue. And you got to respect everybody's power. Okay? Yeah. I think that being a telepath for me has been more so when it comes to practicing my craft. Telepathy has sort of been an obstacle for me, but I've been learning to integrate all of those things together. But being a medium and being able to communicate with spirits while at the same time having an interest in witchcraft, that would gear you towards necromancy. Okay, which necromancy is when you're working with the dead. Okay, it's when you can command spirits. Okay. um and a lot of these gifts do come from, I believe, the chakras, especially the throat chakra. If you are somebody that can command a spirit to leave, or if you can banish a bad spirit or a demon, this means that you must have a very strong throat chakra. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you are empathic, but empaths can absolutely, a lot of people don't like being an empath, but I think that empathism, which is to me right next to telepathy, because growing up, I would be able to tell what people were thinking really strongly. I could sense, certain things, and those gifts, the older that I get, they get stronger the older that you get. Hmm. Yeah, well, you're right about that. You're right about that. But, and then see, here's another thing. Just because we're witches doesn't mean that we can just prevent everything from happening that's supposed to happen. Honestly, a lot of people have felt like, well, why can't you control me? Well, why would I need to? Can you control yourself? Is the question. So, but it's not about controlling a person, it's about controlling the spirits that may be afflicting them. Because I do believe in that. A lot of people will say, well, you should have more sympathy. This is why I don't even call myself an empath anymore, because people expect for people don't know, people really don't understand empath. When you say to a person that you're an empath, they think, oh, empath means pushover, empath means dump all my issues off on that person without even saying thank you. They think that empath means this person that is going to be willing to give their life for them. And that is not the truth. It's not. Hold on, y'all. Jacob. I got it. I got it down pat. Jakey. Here he comes. He hear me real good. That boy got some good hearing. Hold on, y'all. Be right back. Okay. So you can't say, hey, I'm afflicted, understand me and don't afflict me anymore, because the afflicted people project onto empathic people, which is the problem. You know, now those are obvious gunshots. Wow. That's somebody that I don't know what's up with that. That's weird. Um People that push things onto empaths have to understand that empaths um an empath, basically what empaths do is they will mirror you. So if you come up to an empath and say, hey, you're a fuck face, then the empath is probably going to say, well, you're a fuck face too. You're the fuck face. Empaths are not these sweet little creatures and angels that just take abuse. That's not what they are. In fact, an empath is more likely to get shitty with you if you shitty with them. They're not. So a lot of people don't even realize what an empath actually is. They think that being an empath means you're Jesus Christ that's about to die for their sins. And no, because when you try to afflict somebody, when you try to afflict a person, they have to send that back to you. You are trying to send them your bad energies and spirits and demons. That's what you're trying to do. And those people don't have to take that crap. They don't have to. That's not what they're here for. Okay. So there's nobody on this earth. I don't care if it's a witch or if it's a regular person or if it's a whatever type of person. There is nobody in this world that is just here to take your crap. They're not. And people have to learn that, which, hey, I'm Unette. I'm Unette. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hello. Hello. Oh, beautiful hair. Hey, Egg. Yeah, I think people get that confused. People think that empath means pushover or somebody that is just supposed to absorb your energy. But if you have bad energy and you're sending it to people, people have the right to send it back. You're welcome. You're welcome. It does need to be said. And I do think that a lot of people that are a little afraid of witchcraft, first of all, you don't have to be afraid of it. You need to fear yourself. You need to fear what you can actually create for yourself. Because if you're somebody that, for example, if you have a hex on you or some kind of curse on you, and then, you automatically come to somebody that is empathic or whoever they are, and then you transfer that to that other person, I mean, they can send it back to you very quickly, and then you back where you started, you right back at square one. Okay. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people think, oh, so the, I am an empath, but I have built up quite a resistance. There's a resistance. Okay. The ritual tools that I showed y'all with the mushrooms and the pine cones, this is the resistance. This is, the empaths and maybe they're sensitives, maybe they're psychics. They are saying we are resisting. Yeah, it does. It means the wise woman, but they demonized everything. And I just don't see the point in demonizing it. And I'm very mistrustful of people that practice witchcraft, but then they'll have nothing but negative things to say about witchcraft. And see, for me, we do have to do negative things sometimes. However, most of the times I'm creating miracles in people's lives. Most of the time. Okay. I am one of those, I am one I am one of those witches that would rather use my powers to do good in this world. And it can become very annoying when people are constantly trying to get in your head. People are constantly trying to infiltrate your thoughts, your thought processes, your sleep, your dreams. Um, I've had people do that. I've had people doing that. And it's like, what is the point? What good? Most of the work that I do is for the greater good. I like to think of it as the greater good, as being for the greater good. I don't like to ever do any work that's just, oh, I just feel like hurting somebody today, so I'm gonna do it. See, I've never been that type of person. I'm in a bad mood. I just feel like hurting somebody today. Nah. Okay. I'm hardly ever in a bad mood, to be honest with you. But I've been dealing with the craziness of people that don't have this understanding that I'm trying to make clear for them. Okay. We can be your best friends. Witches can be your best friends, or we can be your worst enemy. But sometimes being your enemy is good because it'll teach you something. All the way from 2015 up to 2020, I was dealing with stuff. But you know what? It taught me something. It taught me a lot. And so, it's a blessing when you think about it. But yeah. Yeah. And so then they go exactly heart. They go and they do things that they feel is, as revenge. But, it's just, it's stupid. It is. My spirits are going to protect me and my babies at all costs. So I don't, she began to attack my kids, which is a big no-no. It can really be tormenting being an empath, but I'm finally learning to be resistant to the energies others project onto me. That's good. That's good because it's a new thing, especially when your spiritual gifts first emerge. Like when they first emerge on you, they're going to be all wonky. They're going to be kind of wonky. And so you have to learn to balance them and learn how to use them. And then also learn not to use them against other people. Because that's not fair. That's a good way of getting binded by spirit. Next thing you know, ain't none of your spells working. Now, Egg, are you getting constant attacks? Did you get in the circle yet, sweetie? I know a lot of y'all was waiting until Friday. Did you get in the circle yet, Egg, if you're getting constant attacks? Are you talking about spiritual attacks or just somebody? People have had loose lips. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, yeah. Get into the circle because spirit is giving us a lot of gems just this week alone. And I've got ancestor cash on the way. And we're gonna make it do what it do. You was getting attacked spiritually, yeah. And see that I'm wondering if you cleared yourself, because once you start to clear yourself, a lot of that stuff will go away. But I think that when you open the door to witchcraft, you have to be prepared for what comes, and you can't get mad at witchcraft. And I think that that's what old girl did. Like, she just was not prepared, and then at the same time, she started hanging around with people that don't even believe in witchcraft and don't even like witches. I'm like, well, why are you hanging around with that person? They don't even like witches. They're against the witches. None of it made any sense. So, you know, maybe she just needs prayer, perhaps. I'm not sure. Yeah, good, good. And see, um, the thing about it is to definitely stay focused. But I think that when spirit tells you to handle something, you should handle it. And nobody, like, I can't tell you what your heart is telling you. You have to judge that for yourself. So I can't come on here and say, oh, y'all witches, y'all need to quit battling back and forth. And that I can't necessarily say that because it may be of importance to you all. Now, I will tell you that the problems that we're dealing with come from male energy. And I'm going to say this to you, witches, and I've explained this before. When males cause chaos, it is important to not necessarily fear it, but transmute it, because some of these men are sending you pure raw energy. If you interpret it as, oh, he's trying to destroy me, oh, he's trying to, well, he can't do that. So then why be afraid? So the whole battle of the sexes power struggle thing doesn't really exist, because who can win an argument with a woman? You can't win no argument with no woman. People should know that by now. Even a woman that ain't that intelligent, you still can't win an argument with her. So, yeah, yeah, she is. She is very, absolutely. Okay. And I was just like, oh Lord. I was like, Lord have mercy, you know? So I think that people just need to calm down. If you feel the impulse to attack anybody, not just a witch, to attack anybody, that's something that you need to get in control of anyway. You know what I'm saying? You need to get control of yourself, get a hold of yourself, because I've been doing this for the past 20 years. So I started in witchcraft almost 20 years ago. And then I got back into it in 2013. Okay. Because I had to leave for a while and get it together, grow up, mature a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Before I was even ready to take clients, I wasn't ready to take clients until I was 37. Now, that may just be my experience. You could be 21 years old ready to take clients. It depends on what your level of maturity is and what your destiny is. So, it doesn't have to match exactly what I'm doing, but I'm just giving my own account of my experience with it. Amunet, I discovered my gifts when I was 2 years old. And you know how, like, your childhood, you forget a lot of it, right? But my aunt, she kept reminding me that I was a medium my whole life, like, because my when my mother had me, she was a teenager. She was only 18. She wasn't ready to be a mom. So she let my auntie raise me, her and her son. And but then my aunt's son got leukemia and passed away. Um, and it was a very, very painful time for her. And I was with her through that whole thing of her losing her son. But the first discovery was when she realized that I was actually communicating with him, because I was so attached to him that I didn't want to be separated from him. Like I always wanted to be around him when he was in the hospital. I think I was there when he passed away. Okay, they haven't really told me the details about that. In fact, I need to call her and ask her, was I actually there when he passed through? Um, but she said that after he passed away, I began to communicate with him even though he wasn't there. And I was about 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old. And that's when it started. And a lot of people in my family, they would say, I can't believe you don't remember your cousin. I can't believe you don't remember him. I can't believe you don't remember him. And for years I blocked it out. Um, yeah. And so that was the first time, like, I learned about death at a very young age. And it was extremely traumatizing for me. But sometimes with trauma, or even sometimes fear, depending on what that fear is doing to you, can spark a flame inside of you that will unleash your spiritual gifts sometimes. So that's why, it's kind of important to pay attention to what's actually happening to you. Some of the things that are happening to you is not meant to hurt you, but it's meant to, um, you know, pull out that gift. Okay. Yes. Yes. Uh huh. Yep. You're right, Hearth. Yeah, it's okay. In fact, I need to get his picture, because I believe that he still tries to communicate with me in a lot of ways. And I think it was such a painful experience losing him that I blocked it out because I was only 2 or 3 years old. But of course, my aunt, being a great mother to me, she would bring it out. So that's why I was telling y'all, like, when I looked at that movie Poltergeist, it reminded me of me, because when I was a little girl, I had a little toy phone, and she said I would pick up the toy phone and talk to him from the phone. So, yeah. How did I discover I was an empath? Now, it came in shifts. It did. When I realized I was an empath, when I accepted it, because I had already had these strange circumstances of being able to pick up on other people's pain, being able to pick up on other people's sorrow or happiness or joy. And so I'm the type of person, is, somebody come in my door, if you happy, I'm gonna be happy and joyful. If you sad, I can match that. I'll mirror that. But I never forget when I made the discovery, I was sitting in the car with my uncle's girlfriend at the time. And as soon as I got in the car with her, my left ear just started ringing, and it was pulsating, and it was hurting. And I said, tell me the truth. And I didn't tell her that my ear was hurting. I just said, tell me the truth. Is your ear hurting? She said, yeah, I actually have an ear infection. And I said, in which ear? She said, the left ear. I was like, oh my God, I'm a freak. I'm a freak of nature. That's what I was thinking at first. This was years ago, y'all. Now, when it came to the craft, it was something that always called to me. I always had a fixation on fire and water. Um, as far as the signs of being a witch was feeling set apart from everybody. Um, from a young age, I would sort of look at the world through a witch's eyes, even at a young age. Oh God, we have a troll. Even at a young age, I was able to see the world through a witch's eyes rather than, so it's just one of those kind of things. And then I never was the type of person to have like a bunch of friends. I was a loner. I was always in my grandmother's backyard. Her backyard was filled with abundance. She used to grow these honeysuckles. They would just grow. And I would naturally know, not to touch certain plants like the poison ivy. I knew not to touch it, but, and so it was certain things. And so I would actually sit out in nature for hours. Yeah, I know, Amunet. I'm sorry. That's those ignorant people. Ignore them. In fact, um, let's go ahead and banish them real quick. 'Cause, it's called ignorance. Yeah, yeah. They think that they're gonna shock somebody out of their socks by using the N word, and it's honestly, you have to become the type of person to not react to that in the way that they want you to react, because for some reason they're actually childish enough to believe that we're going to react, or our feelings are going to be hurt or something. And I don't know. It's childish. Yeah. So I would, yeah, tell them, Hearth. I would actually go um, outside and just sit in nature for hours and just listen. I would just sit out in nature and listen. And then, okay, this is gonna be, probably people are gonna judge me for this, but whatever. Right. Let cruelty, pain, and evil ways follow those villains throughout their days. Reverse the torment they create to turn on them a crueler fate. So they got it back. But I actually started smoking marijuana at the age of 11. I know 11 was a breakthrough year for me. I started smoking it. Right, they do. They do. They feed off of the reactions unless they get their crap back, their ignorance back. So, but I would sit out I would just like, I guess I was a bad girl, bad kid. I was a bad kid. I was smoking marijuana at the age of 11. And so I would just, smoke marijuana, and I would sit outside in nature, and it was something about that connection with nature. They want to disconnect us from nature. Oh, you been a pothead since you was 14? Hey. Hearth, you gonna have to come down here and visit me. Or else I'll come down there since it's legal. It's not legal here, so of course I don't partake of the tweeds. I don't, unless you're in a legal state, which, trust me, I've thought about moving out of Georgia. I think they're going to end up legalizing it here. I think it would be better if they were to do that. And I said it for years when I lived in Missouri that they needed to legalize it, and they finally did. And, now I know people personally who have their own grow farms over there, who are growing their own buds. So, over in Missouri, family members and stuff. So, you know, but yeah, that was, because marijuana is considered to be a psychedelic, and a lot of this whole box that they try to put us in, it's I may do that. I may do that, heart. You're going to have to get at me. um Pay the government. Are you in Canada? I've been wanting to go and visit Canada. I would love to visit Canada and New York. I've been kind of stuck in the house though. Stuck in the house, okay? Then you have a girl license, and with any sort of mental health condition, if you're prescribed things, you can be given different licenses for like cultivate. But you know what? And see, that's the one thing that I don't like, heart. I don't like that you have to be diagnosed with some kind of condition. I think that it should just be legal. I think it should just be legal. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? You been to Montreal? See, I've been to Missouri. I stopped in Chicago, just overnight, just so that I could have a stopping point. So I didn't even go and do any sightseeing in Chicago. And then no, I skipped forward. I've been to Missouri to Kansas. When I moved out of Kansas, when we drove out, I stopped in Chicago and came straight down here to Georgia and been here ever since. But I am the type of person that will go somewhere and just get settled and be like, I'm here, I'm home. So, but yeah, I would like to do more traveling. I would. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you lived in Canada, Heart. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. So back then, um, I felt like I wasn't trying to escape my family. I loved my family. Like, the commercials of, oh, if you smoke marijuana, you're just trying to escape. And not escape my family, because at the time I was, me and my mother was both living with my grandmother. And I love my grandma to the moon and back, like, and my mother and my aunt, and then my uncle was staying there too. I think two of my uncles were staying there at the time. So my grandma had a full house, okay, and up until she had moved out, and then she had passed on shortly thereafter. But so I wasn't trying to escape my family. You know what I'm saying? I believe that marijuana is a way to connect you with nature. If you are the type of person that is kind of controlling, or if you've got things that are sitting on your subconscious or your consciousness, then marijuana is going to have a negative effect on you. You'll have a negative experience with it. But if you somebody that knows how to let go and just relax, then marijuana can be your best friend. So, but that's really how I started, because I think that being a witch, for some of us, it is initially our connection with nature. Initially. So even when I was a little kid, I made mud pies when I was a little kid. Okay. And then certain things like sand and rocks and stuff. This was before, I was able to buy crystals. I would always be attracted to just certain rocks and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so that was the first discovery. But then my mother actually had started getting into it. She had started showing me witchcraft. My mother did, but probably when I was like I want to say 20, 20, 25-ish is when me and my mother kind of started doing it, but it wasn't like we sat down and did rituals together. Like, cooking was, a lot of the women in my family are kitchen witches. Okay, so And so, me and my mother, we did watch Charm together. I don't see what's wrong with that. A lot of people try to act like that's negative, but we would watch it together, and it would be sort of this unspoken understanding between the two of us when it came to that. So, are you able to tell if someone has ever been initiated into spirituality? Um, my whole thing about it, here's my whole thing about it. That whole initiation thing, I don't know nothing about that because I come from the school of the hard knocks. So as far as being initiated, what I can tell, I can definitely tell people's power, and I can see people's spirits. And then also there's an instant communication with a lot of people's spirit guides. And it's not like it has to be a 12-hour conversation. Understanding and discernment can take as little as 30 seconds. So it is, I don't know if that answers your question about that, but I can typically see people's spiritual gifts. Yeah. If that's what you meant, not like an initiation into like Ifa or Santeria and things of that nature. Um is my whole thing about that is that I just believe in witchcraft. It's a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, I'm a Syntheta," or and I think what's that? I can't think of the name of that. Um, I think witchcraft is witchcraft personally. So, no, not really, Amunet. I can tell that you definitely have some gifts. I can definitely tell that though. But as far as seeing all of the details, not really. It's too many people in here right now. I can tell by something about your forehead is what comes through for me. And yeah, I can sense a lot from that. But see, for me, I have to have like that private moment with you in order to, you know what I'm saying? So that's why we do private readings and stuff. So, oh, you're a Virgo. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Love my Virgos. I'm a Virgo moon, by the way, just to let you know. Um, really? That it's really, you know what? Is that 144,000 each generation, Hearth? Like as far as it's not just 144,000 total, but is that in each generation or something? Because it seemed like it should be more than that. Initiates usually come from a very long blood lineage and have a very specific blood type. Most of them are Rh negative. Well, you know what? Trying to think if I'm Rh negative. Um, I know that when I had Jacob, they had to give me some kind of shot. Is that what that means? But my blood type is B positive. I have a B positive blood type. So I don't know what y'all get from that, but I do know that they say that B positive blood type is a rare blood type. Uh, so and it kind of makes sense because I'm always telling people to be positive. Oh yeah. Yeah, and if people are confused about that, they'll say, "Oh, well, if you're a witch and you have angels, people think of angels as these. totally sweet, kind individuals. But I told people, I said, angels are badass. Angels will kick ass. They are not just, these sentient beings that, I mean, the guardian angels can be, but as far as like angels, like angels are the ones that will go to war first. They'll go to war first. They will. So a lot of people be like, oh, well, if you're, if you're this and that, then why aren't you just this perfect person? uh do I even have to answer that question? Like, come on now, seriously. You're an O negative, okay, an RH negative, okay. Wow, yeah. Yeah, yeah, and they are very powerful. They are powerful enough to do a lot. Okay, so be careful with mis. A lot of people will misuse that word, and they'll sort of kind of doubt the power of angels and what they actually do. Which to me it's all about justice. And like I said, when the world gets too crazy and shady, that's when I'm doing my angelic meditation. When it just gets to the point where it's like, what is all this and why is this? We got to call to the angels for real. And witches can do that. Like, they act like witches are just demonic and it's all demons and demonology and all that stuff. And a lot of people are very, very confused about that. Very confused. You have a Scorpio moon, but what's your sun sign? Yeah. Okay. So okay. Hmm. Well, I've definitely had the Christ consciousness as much as I've been talked about, and I've sat up here and said, why are they trying to I felt like they all want a piece of me. They trying to sacrifice me. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. But I think it depends on when you were born too, because I was born in 77, and I've always been drawn towards the indigo revolution as well. It was something that I was drawn to. However, I don't think that indigo crystal children can necessarily, especially the world that we live in, like we can just necessarily, just, live as these beings that are always on this, this whole, it's not possible. I don't. Now, I think that for me, I know for a fact that I can experience positivity 99% of the time. Okay. And I think that little 1%, I think that it's kind of fun for people, to get me all riled up and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it is what it is. But I do like to be in a peaceful space. I don't like war. I don't like war. I'm just not one of them types of people. I would prefer not. I would prefer not to be at war, especially when it comes to being a witch. What are you at war for? Are you at war for your own energy? You shouldn't have to necessarily fight for your own energy, but a lot of people are feeling that way. And I think that I think the consciousness needs to shift. I'm a Cancer sun on the cusp of Gemini. I was born on the 23rd of June, cusp of Gemini. And I'm a Cancer sun, Leo rising with a Virgo moon. Or unless you were talking to heart. Everybody done seen my chart. I don't mind. I don't mind. Take a look-see at it. It's quite interesting when I look at my chart. Um, I got a little of everything in me, but my chart is dominant with Gemini. I have a Gemini dominant chart. But with I've got like 2 or 3 places of Gemini. My Lilith is in Gemini, my Mercury is in Gemini, my Mars is in Gemini. And then I've got other stuff like my Venus is in Taurus. So y'all already know if somebody has a Taurus Venus that they love very hard and strong. Okay. Really? I was seeing one of they were saying to not do that. Somebody was saying to not do that, but it's too late for me. Everybody, if somebody was gonna look up my chart, they already did it because they had my name, my birth date. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I don't like conflict at all. In fact, I prefer to resolve conflicts. But if I feel that I cannot resolve the conflict, then that's when the pinchers are gonna come out. Because the one thing that people got to remember about cancers, a lot of people try to take advantage of cancers, in my opinion. You got to remember we are represented by the crab, and the crab has them pincher hands. Very, very similar to Scorpios. So, oh, yo, I'm getting sleepy now. It's almost 10 o'clock. I have Cancer, North Node, Scorpio Moon, Capricorn Venus. Oh, sound like you got a pretty good chart. That's a nice mixture. Um, like I said, for some reason, Jacob, when I looked at his chart, I was like, what in the exact hell? So yeah, I work with Metatron too. Amunet. I work with Metatron. I love me some Metatron. We old. Yeah. I don't feel old. I feel young at heart still. I don't feel old. You might have somebody still trying to energy harvest off of you, heart. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you start feeling that way. Oh, 1973. Interesting. So you don't look a day over 25. Wow. Yeah. The 70s was a good year to be born in. You know what I'm saying? I'm absolutely proud of the fact that I was born in the 70s. He is. Metatron is Enoch. Enoch. I didn't know that. Well, he's all right with me. I love me some Metatron. Yeah, you don't look a day over 25. You got a baby face. Oh. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Oh, thank you. So are you. So are you. And I love your hair. So are you, sweetie. Okay, y'all. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm glad that we had this discussion. Um, hopefully we'll get some better understandings and um have if you guys have not added me on Facebook or Instagram, do so. Because you guys can communicate with me either through Facebook or Instagram. So add me on Facebook. Because I wanted to talk to you about something, Arth. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I love me some Metatron. I do. He's amazing. He's pretty amazing. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I will see y'all later. We are on the 5th day of Halloween or Samhain. The 5th day. You're welcome, Egg. You're welcome. Good night, Heart. Y'all have a good night. Blessings to you guys, and I will see y'all later. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining. Make sure that y'all subscribe if you haven't already, okay? All right. I'll see y'all later.